Fresh flour smells better, tastes better, and somehow makes you feel like you've got your life together. Welcome to RootInsect.com.
It does have that effect. Mill a batch of wheat berries in your kitchen and suddenly you're standing there like a frontier baker with better appliances.
Today we're talking about grain mills for home flour production, and I think a lot of people are curious about this, but unsure whether it's actually worth the bother.
I think it is, especially if you bake often. When you grind flour fresh, you keep more of the oils and nutrients that tend to fade once flour has been sitting on a shelf, and the flavor is noticeably fuller. Bread tastes nuttier, warmer, more alive.
You're making me hungry already. I also like that you get control. If you want organic grain, you choose it. If you want a coarser flour for a rustic loaf or something finer for pastries, you can work toward that.
That control is a huge part of it. You're not stuck with one standard bag from the store. You can mill hard red wheat, soft wheat, rye, even experiment with blends. For people trying to avoid additives or just simplify what they eat, that matters.
There's also the long-term money side. Whole grains can be economical if you're baking every week, and you cut down on packaging waste too.
Right, though I'll admit there's an upfront cost. A good grain mill isn't something you buy on a whim because you had one ambitious bread weekend.
Spoken like someone who has bought at least one overly ambitious kitchen tool.
One? That's generous. But a grain mill earns its keep more than most gadgets if you actually use it.
So let's talk about choosing one. People usually start with the big question: electric or manual?
Electric is the practical choice for most households. It's faster, easier, and better if you're milling regularly or making enough flour for several loaves at once. Most electric models also give you a range of texture settings, so you can move from coarse meal to a much finer flour.
And manual mills?
Manual mills are slower, and they do require elbow grease. But they make sense for small batches, backup use, or off-grid living. If you only bake occasionally, or you like tools that don't depend on power, manual can be very satisfying.
Satisfying is one word. I'd say humbling. I used a hand mill once and felt like I was negotiating with a pirate ship winch.
Oh, come on, they're not that bad.
Fiona, after 10 minutes, I had enough flour for one mournful pancake.
That says more about your stamina than the mill.
Fair. So beyond power source, what should people pay attention to?
Build quality first. Stainless steel parts tend to hold up well and are easier to clean. Stone burr systems are popular because they can produce a very fine flour and do a nice job preserving quality during milling. Then look at capacity. If you bake a lot, a higher capacity machine saves time and frustration.
Noise matters too. Some electric mills sound like a shop vacuum is attacking the countertop.
They really do. If your kitchen is the center of family life, or you're milling early in the morning, quieter models are worth seeking out. And don't ignore cleaning. Flour dust gets everywhere. If a mill is awkward to open or tends to clog, you'll dread using it.
That's a good point. The best tool is the one you won't avoid. I also think people should match the mill to what they bake. If you're doing sourdough every week, that's a different need than someone making the occasional muffin.
Exactly. And spring is actually a nice time to start. People are already in that seasonal mindset of fresh food, gardens waking up, planning meals around what's growing. Freshly milled flour pairs beautifully with spring cooking, whether it's sandwich bread for garden lunches or flatbreads with herbs.
I like spring for another reason. It's when people start rethinking self-sufficiency. Seeds, soil, compost, preserving food later on, and then milling your own grain sort of fits into that same rhythm.
It does. It's practical, and it reconnects you with an ingredient most of us take for granted. My advice is simple. If you bake often, go electric. If you want a backup or a lower cost entry point, look at manual. And whichever you choose, make sure it's durable, adjustable, and easy to maintain.
And be honest with yourself. If you love the romance of hand milling, but you make bread twice a week, your shoulders may file a complaint.
Very true. Fresh flour is wonderful. But so is not resenting your hobbies.
That may be the wisest kitchen advice we've ever given.
Thank you for listening to this edition of RudeInsect.com, Conversations with Grant and Fiona.